So I made a video about 3 videos ago, and I got stuck in this thought process. And the video, part of what it was saying was basically that some people don't like antinatalism because of the harm it causes people that are already in existence. So if there were no new children being born, it would cause people already in existence some sort of harm. And I guess it could harm people, I'm not going to lie, it's going to harm the people already in existence in a number of ways. So economically, mentally, emotionally, it's going to be tough for people to not have children. And like I said, in a number of ways. But let's take the emotional argument to begin with. And maybe in other videos I'll tackle the other ones, but let's take the emotional argument to begin with. So if people aren't allowed to have children, they're going to suffer emotionally. It's going to be hard to live in a world without seeing children. Something's going to feel like it's missing, something's going to be off, and some people are going to notice it, right? There might even be cases of people who do have children by accident or covertly, and due to some sort of like societal repercussion, it makes this kind of news story that kind of highlights how dismal the world is. So that in itself causes more emotional harm, et cetera, et cetera. So that is suffering. Emotional harm is, that would be suffering. But what about the children that you're going to bring into existence to stop this suffering of this older generation? They're going to be harmed as well, because like the record goes, life is suffering. So does their suffering not equate to the suffering of the generations already in existence? Suffering is suffering. And if we're going to take that line of thinking on the idea of bringing people into existence, then we're going to be perpetually bringing people into existence to suffer for eternity if we're allowed to, right? So I would argue that you have to take into account the people that will come into existence and their suffering. We can't just keep going in a cycle over it. Obviously, we're going to, because nobody's ever going to adopt antinatalism as a practical philosophy. Some people will, but not everybody. But we will keep perpetuating the suffering. We're going to keep bringing people into the world because we need to satiate some sort of emotional need. And we're going to have those people that come into the world suffer just so we're satiated. Now, I know that a lot of people don't believe that life is suffering, but I think that's kind of, they're either being disingenuous or they're being kind of naive, but life is suffering. And I would invite people to read more about antinatalism and see for yourself that life is empirically more suffering than pleasure. There's lots of examples from lots of thinkers about the constant grind that life is. Even if it's not something external to you, even your psychology itself is a matter of suffering, and suffering near constantly, if not constantly. So I would invite more introspection on the matter. I'd invite more people to read about antinatalism. God knows I have a lot more to read about antinatalism, so I'm not being too high and mighty here. I have a lot of reading to do. But it's these simple ideas that I find that I run into, these simple misconceptions that I keep running into when it comes to antinatalism. But I had to put that idea out there. And yeah, it's, the emotional argument is not really an argument at all. It's kind of a biased, one-sided kind of way of thinking about the whole problem of birth and children and things like that. Anyway, that's all I gotta say. Bye.